Welcome back to the Jacoby podcast. I'm coming to you on a Tuesday morning, the morning after yet another crushing Jets defeat. So last night, the Jets took on the Cleveland Browns on Monday Night Football, and they were yet again absolutely leveled. And there's a lot of different levels to last night's game. If we're gonna break it down, it's tough. It's tough to take a loss like this because the Jets look absolutely defeated on offense, and they are. I mean, they're without their starting quarterback in Sam Darnold. Darnold's gone. He's got mono. 3 to 7 week window. We don't know when we're going to see him again. I've seen reports that are optimistic, saying we're going to see him after the bye. And I've seen reports from guys like Adam Schefter saying that they wouldn't put all their eggs in that basket. So we don't know. Last night, Trevor Siemian gets the ball. He's going to be their starting quarterback going into the game. And he snaps his ankle clean after a quarter and a half of pretty miserable quarterback play, pretty horrible play calling from Adam Gase, and extremely pitiful blocking up front from that offensive line. And that's where I'm going to start with this game because that offensive line is so bad. I mean, Darnold last year was getting rocked left and right. Okay? We brought in Khalil. We brought in Osemele. These problems were supposed to have gone away this year. Let me tell you something. That left tackle, Kelvin Beachum, I mean, this guy cannot do anything to block the man that's in front of him. And when he's getting beat, he's good for a hold. He's good for a false start because he's already scared that he's going to get beat. So he jumps quick. Myles Garrett made him look like a fool last night. I mean, they got Trevor Siemian killed last night. The guy's done for the year. His ankle snapped. He's done. Now we're on to our third-string quarterback in Luke Falk. I don't know anything about the guy. He was drafted 199th last year, 6th round. That's it. That's all we know. He went 20 for 25 last night, about 190 yards. You can't ask much more from him than that. I mean, this kid was on the practice squad a day before this game. What else do you expect from this kid? He came out and he threw the ball to open receiver. He was getting bum rushed all night long. It didn't make a difference whether Siemian was in there or Falk because the Jets' O-line could not get guys off of him. He had a second and a half to throw the ball if he was dropping back. Still some questionable play calling from Adam Gase when he was in the game, but you gotta, as much as I do not want to give Adam Gase a pass, you gotta give him one for this game. And I'll explain the problem with that in a minute because this is it's going to become a great issue. It's going to become a problem. The only offensive player that looked halfway decent was Le'Veon Bell, 130 all-purpose yards. He's the only guy that's continuing to show up for the Jets on a weekly basis. It doesn't seem to matter to him what the offense is doing. He's still there for these guys. People are talking about Le'Veon being a bad teammate over in Pittsburgh. I have not seen one iota of evidence of that being the case here in New York. Now, another concerning piece of news that surfaced this morning on the other side of the ball, Jets safety Jamal Adams unfollowed the Jets on Instagram. Let me be clear about something. If Jamal Adams pulls a Jalen Ramsey, pulls a Minkah Fitzpatrick, and requests a trade, Jamal Adams is responsible for the morale of that defense and for that team. If Jamal Adams requests a trade from the New York Jets, their season is over and they are in full rebuild mode. And here's the problem with that. Here's the problem with the Jets being in full rebuild mode. You got a lot of guys signed to small contracts for a lot of money that they're not worth. Now, I'm not saying Le'Veon Bell's not worth $14 million. He's clearly worth every penny. But now what are you paying him for? You're paying him $14 million to go, 2-14 this year when you play the Dolphins twice? Maybe, because I think you might be just as bad as the Dolphins are. I mean, this team is up a river without a paddle in a bad way. In a bad way. And if you're a Jets fan, if you're a real Jets fan, you knew after that first Bills game that this team was in trouble. Because if you're a Jets fan, you know that the Jets cannot lose games like that and bounce back. They don't do it. They do not do it. You knew, based on the fact that they weren't scoring offensive points in that game, that they weren't the Jets team that we were promised. Every year we're promised some sort of a Jets team, but this was the first year it seemed like that a lot of Jets fans believed in the team that we were supposed to be receiving. So you got Adam Gase up there in the press conference last night. You got Demaryius Thomas, he's out. You got linebackers out. C.J. Mosley still out. Quinnen Williams still did. He didn't dress last night. He only played, I think, a third of the snaps in the first game against the Bills. We haven't seen much of anything that he's done, and that was our third overall pick this year. I do not know what this Jets team... Now you're sending your third-string quarterback, kid from the practice squad, 6th-round draft pick, 199 overall. Now you're sending him on Sunday to Foxborough to play the New England Patriots, reigning Super Bowl champions, just might be the hottest football team in the National Football League. And you're saying, all right, kid, what do you got? Show us what you got. What can you do for us? I feel bad. I feel bad for this kid. You are throwing him to the wolves. I would not wish this on my worst enemy. That offensive line of the New York Jets, if it is not patched up in some way, shape, or form by Sunday, the Jets are in for it. The Jets are in for the line already came. The money line already came in, and I think it's a 15 and a half point spread. So that just shows you where Vegas is at with it. And I think that might be generous because this Jets offense has generated 8 total points since the start of the NFL season, and that was with Sam Darnold behind center. This is a real sad state of affairs. This just might be the worst and least cohesive Jets team that I've watched, and I'll tell you why. It's not because they're the least, I think they are the most disappointing Jets team that I've watched in my lifetime because there's talent. There's talent on both sides of the ball, and nobody can get it done. Nobody can get it done. Their defense didn't look horrible, but their secondary is still a joke. They weren't bad against the run last night. Linebackers looked okay. Tremaine Johnson, our $70 million corner, he was benched last night. That's something to mention. So there's $70 million down the tubes. Don't know what the deal with that was. Nothing's going right for the New York Jets right now. And I can tell you right now, it shows no sign of stopping. The Jets are going into Foxborough. Then they have the bye. Then you're talking Eagles, Cowboys. The schedule's not getting any easier. So, Jamal Adams, the time right now is 1:35 as I'm recording this. Jamal Adams will be talking to WFAN at 2 o'clock I'm poised to hear what he says. I think that's a good sign that he's talking to the media at 2 o'clock, because if the fact that he's going to talk to them means hopefully that, I can only pray that that's a good sign, that means it's a misunderstanding or he's frustrated but he's not seeking a trade, because the season's already over, but that'll just kill everything that this team was building on, everything that they're trying to do. So that's it for this week. Pretty deflating loss, pretty crushing defeat on Monday Night Football in front of the whole nation. It's going to be tough. It's going to be damn near impossible to bounce back from that loss. So that's it. We'll see next week what the Jets do at 1 o'clock in Foxborough. And God bless this kid, Luke Falk, man, because he is going to need it. We'll see you guys next time.